Hey there everybody, Phil here for AndroidCentral.com, and here's the Motorola Droid X again. We've had a couple weeks with it, so let's do a proper walkthrough finally. There's your lock screen, you slide to unlock just like we're used to, and here you go. Here's your basic home screen. You have 7 there by default. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Scroll left and right just like normal. There you go, you get a good feel for what's on there. Those are all widgets, they look a little new. Down here at the bottom, you have your little scroller bar thingy, and that's how you can jump from one to the other. You don't have the leap feature like Sense has, but you can jump from one to the other down there, and that's pretty easy. See, scrolling is nice and quick, just no lag whatsoever on this 1 GHz processor. Now here's the cool thing about widgets. This is a Motorola custom thing. First, you can stick a widget on top of each other and they'll swap places. That's nice. You can't do that in stock Android, and it's really a pain. But here's the really cool thing. You can resize them on the screen. So after you hold down, you get these little arrows and you drag them. So you can go from a 4x1 to a 4x2, back to a 4x1, and if you go on top of something like that, it'll give you a big red X and tell you no, you can't do that. Delete them the same way, just drag them down in the trash, so that's normal. But that's a really cool customization that Motorola's done, and I really like that a lot. So here's your app launcher. Kind of normal. You don't have the 3D effects that you get on the Nexus 1 with Android 2.1 and Froyo, but you know what? I can live with that. That's eye candy. Not a huge deal. There's your calendar widget, and don't really get a whole lot of information when it's in 4x1. Here's your weather widget. You got some settings up at the top. There's a Facebook widget. So a lot of good stuff really from Motorola. I like what they've done. I like the UI. It's kind of stock Android-ish, but tweaked. Certainly doesn't feel like Moto Blur. So we've talked about that before. Here's another cool thing you can do. If you double tap the home button, this is actually customizable. You can set it to different things, but by default, it's set for voice command. So I can say, open test contact, and there's opening test contact, and that's what contacts look like, by the way. It's kind of nice. There's a fake one I made, so I don't have to give out all my friends' information. Smart of me, huh? So we'll go back to home, and there you go. Android Market's the same. Let's look at the browser, just so you can get an idea of that. This has flashlight built in. Remember, we're dealing with Android 2.1, so we don't have full flash yet. That's coming later this summer, they say. I'm a little disappointed it's not there at launch, but what are you going to do? So there you can see it was trying to get my location, and we'll go to Android Central. You saw that Swipe is pre-installed. You have Swipe, and then you also have kind of a standard keyboard with multi-touch. I use Swipe, so that's just what I'm using as my daily driver at this point. So here's Android Central loaded up. See, it goes in portrait and landscape just fine. Switches pretty quickly, actually. You can double tap to zoom in, and pinch to zoom is also there, for those of you who worry about that. There you go. Now let's show you flashlight, and see everything on the page is rendering as it should. That looks pretty good, actually. Let's dive into a post here. I know it's a Galaxy S post on a Motorola Droid video, but what are you going to do? And tap the YouTube video there, and it opens up the YouTube player and plays within. I know a lot of us like that as opposed to playing in the browser. Can't hear it, but the sound works just fine too. We're over Wi-Fi, so that loaded up nice and quick. Alright, there you go. Settings in the browser, pretty standard stuff, really. If you've used any Android browser, you're good to go on this guy. It's still WebKit based, just like everything else we have. You can set your home page, you can set passwords, all that good stuff. Let's take a look at a couple of the other apps. You have a 3G mobile hotspot on here. Remember, no 4G on Verizon, so we only have 3G, and yeah, it'll warn you about battery life. So you can set the SSID of the network, so you could call it My Droid X is better than your Incredible or whatever. Set your own password, and oh, you see that little thing that popped up in the password box? It looks like half a bullseye here. When you do it in the middle of the frame, it looks like a full bullseye. That's what you get here. We'll dive into the browser so you can see it a little better. That's what you get because we don't have arrow keys, right? We don't have a D-pad. There are no arrow keys on the keyboard. So that's what Motorola's given you to help you identify where the cursor is. And that's a cool little tweak. I like that a lot. Let's see. There's the Blockbuster app. We've seen that before. Browser again. Camcorder and camera. Car dock. Let's look at the car dock. Look at the size of these buttons. It's a big phone, right? It's a 4.3-inch screen, and we have these giant buttons on top of it for the car dock. It's almost funny, but it makes sense, right? You want big buttons to be able to press while you're driving because you're really not supposed to be messing with your phone while you're driving, so they want to make it as easy as possible, and I like that a lot. I'll take you straight into Google Maps, and there I am. Tap the Google Maps button, it'll take you there too. Cool. Let's see. DLNA. This is media streaming. It's going to take a second to pop up. Play media, copy media to server, copy media to my phone, share media. It's a little janky, but it works. Let's see what else. FM radio. It's not going to launch up because I don't have headphones plugged in. You have to have headphones or speakers because it uses them as the antenna. What else should we look at? Let's see. How about, we already saw voice command. You got Skype built in. That's nice. That's a Verizon thing, although it's supposedly coming to everybody else later. Let's look at the camera. It's got an 8 megapixel camera with dual flashes, and the software, I really do like the software. You can either launch it from the app launcher or you've got the dedicated camera button right there. Big red button. It's a 2-stage button, so you have to push it all the way down and kind of hold it for a second to launch the camera app. Took me a couple tries to kind of get used to it. Let's see, we're gonna have a hard time focusing on that, aren't we? All right, you can zoom in and out actually using the volume keys. See there on the left, you got the little indicator showing you how far in and out you are zoomed. That's cool. It's a bit of a stretch, it feels kind of weird, but you get used to it. All right, you tap and you get your menus. You push the camera button again up there, the big red button to take the picture. Real easy to switch to video, I like this. It's just one touch. Switch to video, switch back to the camera. Very nice. It's better than having some slider. You have effects that you can do on the fly, so you can change from sepia tone to red tint to green tint to blue tint to normal, all on the fly, all as you're taking pictures, so that's kind of cool. You can change scenes. You can set it in landscape mode, sport mode to take them fast. Shutter's really, really fast. I like that a lot. In video mode, you can turn on the light to serve as a flash, like a steady flash. That is a nice little tweak before we've had to root phones and do that right. So that's the camera. I like the camera a lot. Some people have had problems focusing or keeping their hand steady. I haven't seen any of those problems. It's been really nice for me. Here's the gallery. It's going to look a little familiar to anybody who's ever used an Apple product. Kind of looks like cover flow, but my God, look how fast that is. That scrolls through so quickly. And let's see, let's just open up a picture so you can see it. The camera by default is set to take 6 megapixel photos. That way they're shot in widescreen, or in this case, it's tall because I turned the camera that way. But it doesn't do them in the full 8 megapixels, so you keep the widescreen resolution, and you know what? I don't notice the difference between a 6 megapixel and an 8 megapixel picture, but just so you know, by default, it doesn't do them as the full 8 megapixels. It does it by 6 megapixels. The video camera is 720p. You got a gallery widget on the homepage that you can also use to get to the camera and the gallery, and it will actually do a picture slideshow up there if you want it to. I don't really know why you want it to, but whatever, your call. Cool. All right, let's see. You got a news widget by default. That's a nice little addition. A couple of them. RSS feeds. I'm sure we all want to add Android Central. Let's talk about the physical aspect of the camera. So you got the 4 buttons down at the bottom. They're physical buttons. They're a little wobbly, but not too bad. On top of the phone, you've got a microphone hole, and there's another microphone hole in the back, so you got 3 in all, right? There's one down on the bottom of the phone there by the physical buttons too. There's our camera button we were talking about, our volume buttons, power button, 3.5mm headphone jack, all kind of standard stuff. On the other side, you have the micro HDMI port and the micro USB. HDMI you can use to stream into a TV or a computer. There's your 8 megapixel camera with the dual flashes. Way up there on that reverse chin. I like that a lot. That keeps the camera nice and safe and gives you something to hold on to. There's the battery door. Comes off real easily, but I'm not worried about it coming off. It's stuck on there pretty well, but it's not hard to get to. You pull on this little tab to get the battery off, and it comes off quite easily. And then there's your 16 gigabyte micro SD card that comes with the phone. That was very nice of Verizon. It will handle up to a 32 gigabyte card, which are still pretty expensive, right? And we'll hold it down and just turn it back on. So there you go. That's kind of your first really good look at the Motorola Droid X from us. It'll be out July 15th on Verizon for a couple $100. Here it is next to the Evo 4G. Look at that. It's actually taller than the Evo 4G. It's kind of funny. A little thinner in the thin part, but once you get up to the camera, the thickness is about the same. I really like the way it feels in the hand, though. It doesn't feel that thick at all. So there you go, guys. The Motorola Droid X. See you later.